Welcome to your Daily 5 for Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. For a number of years now, every so often, but with enough regularity that I was aware the movie existed, a title would show up in different types of lists that were particularly about the 80s horror boom and how everybody was trying to do either copying other versions of things that were successful or trying to find some new version to tell a story that was being told in many different ways to try to capitalize on the fact that there were lots of slashers, giallos, that this was a genre that was about to kind of go off a cliff for a little bit. And so a movie title that came up that I saw a lot was 1989's Beyond the Door 3. Now, to be very clear, this movie has no relation to Beyond the Door 1 or 2. They used the 3 to try to make people who were familiar and liked those first two movies to fool them into thinking there was some kind of connection. There is, in fact, none. And in terms of the story itself, if it was all just about the narrative, it would be utterly forgettable because this is the most straightforward ABC telling of Rosemary's Baby you've ever seen. Young woman, weird birthmark, finds out she is supposed to be the host for the Antichrist, the next Satan, whatever. It doesn't even really matter. And that's all the story that's really being told. That's it. There are no real big twists or turns. There's nothing unusual. The movie progresses in terms of its story from the beginning to the end with very little variation from what you would already expect. What makes the movie absolutely worth seeing, though, is the architecture that is on top of that story. I don't know in recent memory if I have had not even Megalopolis. I don't know another movie within the last few years that I had this many unexpected actual vocal responses to as I watched it, where I was saying things and yelling at the screen with a joy that is hard to convey, because the movie could have just done such bare minimum stuff. And again, it would have just been completely disposable. But instead, and I'm not going to spoil all of it because you really should just experience this thing. But every decision that at first you think, oh, okay, yep, this makes sense. And I know how long about this is going to last if I've seen movies before. No, that's not what's going to happen. Instead of a scene with characters being kind of, let's say X number of minutes long. Here's a good example. There are a set of characters that start out the movie, and based on where they are and what's happened to them, you are just expecting them to get killed by some of the villagers in this, Satan town. That's what would normally happen. But there comes a point where you realize that you're past the halfway point of the movie, and these characters are still alive and aren't seeing anybody, and then you just don't know what's going to happen. And I would almost guarantee up until about 60 seconds before their ultimate fate, you will not be able to predict what they're going to end up doing. In fact, you might actually think they'll make it to the end of the movie. I'll let you know for not much of a spoiler, they don't. But how they die, if you had tried to guess at the beginning of the movie, I would bet almost nobody would have predicted the series of events that would lead to these two characters getting wiped out. And the movie is full of that. Just lots of decisions that, again, at the beginning seem tired and repetitive, and I've seen it before, and okay, I know what's going to happen here. And then you realize, no, this, if it had terminated the way that it normally does in other lesser movies, this would have already happened. We're well past that point. What is going on here? Why is this being done? And I'm not saying that out of frustration and being confounded by it. I'm saying that out of, wow, there are still movies that on the one hand are completely and utterly predictable in terms of the story, and yet continue to provide surprises about every 10 minutes. And that is a rare thing. So I know now, I know why this movie often comes up. It's not for the story. I'm just going to tell you right now, the story is nothing special. It's everything around it. So this is easily watched in any number of different ways. And if you have any interest in 80s horror films, or you just want to be kind of shell-shocked by what's being done in front of you, then make it a priority to find 1989's Beyond the Door 3. The story, yeah, nothing to it. But the rest, wow, nothing quite like it. Later.